What is up, my hunkeros? Actually, I have no idea where that came from. I'm probably gonna have to work on my introduction, but hi everyone. Anyway, I'm gonna do a quick tour of my fish balcony today. I live in a tiny studio apartment, so I don't actually have a fish room, and everything is in my balcony, as you can see behind me. So I'm just gonna show you what the tank setups are, what the fish in there are, and just give you a view of what I'm holding in my balcony. So let's just go here. Okay, I'm gonna show you a couple of embarrassing things as well today because, you know, if you saw my previous video, you'd have seen that I have somewhat cleaned up my fish balcony. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna call it my fish room from now moving forward because it's just too much of a handful. So I've cleaned it up, but I haven't really done a lot of things to my tank, and you can see like still got some dead plants here, and that, you know, bag with spilled sand, I haven't cleaned it up. But yeah, and also, you know, like that box of wires there, like, dude, I need to do something about that because if it rains, that's not gonna be good. Like, it's holding up pretty well, but anyway. So, fish room tour. Okay, so the first one we're gonna see is my koi and walk-in tank. So I call this the cube, and it's just a very simple setup. It's got a piece of driftwood in there. I've got 2 Mayan koi. I've got 3 walk-in. One of them isn't doing so well, so he's hiding back there. But you know, it's got basic substrate, some lava rock in there. And I kind of enjoy this tank because it's just a simple setup. I've got some filters back there, and I like how it's developed like this green algae that's covering everything. And the fish are doing really well in there, except for, you know, this guy sulking there at the back. Poor guy, I don't think he's doing very well. I've got some pothos growing out of here and a peace lily that's, you know, it's shooting new stuff, but it's, you know, it could use a bit more rearrangement. Maybe I need to trim it back for it to grow. The idea is for this tank to have like all these plants growing out of it. So that's the plan for this cube. So there you go. Got this first tank here. Now below is a tank that I don't know if I want to do any more work here, but it's meant to be like a guppy breeding tank. And I don't know about you guys, but I do not have any luck with guppies. I had 10 adults that I bought and I put in here. I think this is like the sole female surviving guppy. Like everything else has died and gone to like feed the entire plants here. But you can see that there are a couple of babies in there. Quite a lot of them actually. Some of them are growing up pretty well. So, you know, I'll just leave this and see. So this is meant to be, I call this my guppy pond because it's a shallow tank. And, you know, I'm just gonna let it run wild with the plants and duckweed. And then here is my so-called monster fish tank. So I've got one golden crossbat Asian arowana here, beautiful thing. Then I've got a flag-tailed kerasin that I bought at like 1 inch, and now it's like at least 7 inches. And then I've got my chocolate cichlid. You know what, when I do videos at night, I think it's better because there's backlight from my balcony, so you can't see this, it's so dark. Gosh. Anyway, you know what? I'll do another fish room tour at night, and you can see all the colors of my fish. So that's my big tank. So I used to have quite a number of fish in here, but there was this disease that knocked all of them out. I just had 2 severums die last week. So those were the last 2. These 3 don't seem to have any disease. The flag-tailed kerasin has changed a bit of character. He's kind of chasing the chocolate around, I don't know why. But yeah, I think the plan is I've got a grow out tank there with a couple of cichlids that I want to put in here. So that's the plan. And filtration, I'm using overhead filters, which is my preferred choice of filter. I've got some pothos growing out here as well. And then the strange thing is I've got like this like random plant that's growing out of the filter. It's not a pothos. It looks like it has vines. I have no idea what this plant is, so guys, tell me if you know what this plant is. But it's like growing out right from the filter. It just sprouted out of nowhere. I'm just gonna leave it. I mean, it's a plant anyway. It may be beneficial for the tank because it's sucking up nutrients, but at some point I'm gonna have to figure out what the heck that is. So yeah, this is my big tank, 4 foot. Now, this tank needs a bit of work, but it's another one of those tanks, ecosystem. There is a sponge filter in it, but I'm not using it. I'm just letting this grow wild as a kind of like ecosystem tank. There's plenty of plants in there. There's plenty of rock in there. Don't think you can see anything. But this is where I have my golden white cloud minnows and a couple of endless guppies. And I've got a couple of fire red shrimp hiding in there as well. So this tank, it looks terrible, but it's doing very well. The plants are keeping everything in balance. I don't think I've lost any adult fish in here. And there's a lot of babies that are growing up as well. They're all over the place. And again, I think I'll do a nighttime fish room tour so that you can see the colors better. Okay, moving up next. So this tank is meant to be my cichlid grow out tank. I've got an Oscar here who I call Lefty because he has his left fin missing, but he's doing well, he's growing up. I've got 3 zebra tilapia, I've got some Salvinase cichlids here, and I've got some fire mouths as well. I have a remaining blue Jack Dempsey, but I think there's a problem with this tank. So a couple of months ago, my tanks got hit by some disease that has knocked out some of my fish in that tank, and then this tank as well. I had 3 Jack Dempseys that were beautiful. One of them was like a really nice metallic blue sheen Jack Dempsey. This is one of the siblings, I think, and that one's gone because he died of something, I don't know what. And I'm noticing that some of the fish here, one of the Salvinese, I think this one here has a swim bladder problem. Weird thing is, it doesn't affect all the fish. Like my Congo tetras, they're doing really well. They're growing. When I bought them, they were like less than an inch long, and now each of them is over like at least maybe 2 inches. Beautiful fish. But yeah, there's like something is knocking all my fish out, so I'm not sure if I want to, like, I've done all the water changes and, you know, fix my filtration and stuff, but nothing seems to work. So I'm just gonna wait it out and see which of my fish survive. And same here, I've got an overhead filtration system. I've got like a bunch of pothos growing in there to suck up all the nutrients. I've also got this lucky bamboo plant, which I recently found out that it's more of an indoor plant, so it's not doing very well. But funny thing is, when I moved one of them indoors, it died. Maybe I just don't have any luck with plants. But there we go. Here's my grow out tank. And the idea is once all the cichlids are ready to go to bigger tanks, I'll turn this into like a microfish like landscape and do a proper landscape tank out of this. Okay, and here is where I have Tortugal, my turtle tank. So here, I'm gonna introduce you, I've got like 3 red air sliders. I've got a bumblebee, this guy, I call him Noob because he's blind, and he, like, when you feed him, like, he loses in competition to the rest. I've got Spooky, I've named him Spooky because when he was young, like he refused to eat anything and he would just run away when I appear. It took him quite a while to warm up to the fact that when I appear, he actually gets food. But now he's one of the more greedy ones. These two are always swimming up for attention and for food. And then I've got, oops, they're really hogging the line right here. Behind there, oh yeah, so anyway, this is a caramel morph. That's a bumblebee morph. And I've got a Hibino back there with weird scoots. So I got him kind of like in a bargain bin, so you can see that his shell hasn't developed very nicely, but he's a cutie anyway. And then back there I've got, oops, got my Malaysian box turtle, and his name is Stanky. Why do I call him Stanky? It's because when I brought him home on the bus from the shop, he actually pooped in his transport container and stank up the whole damn bus. And that is how I've called him Stanky. So I call it him. I'm not sure if it's a him or her. Can't tell. But anyway, the other three turtles here, the red ear slider morphs, they're all male. Because of their, they have a very fat and long tail. They've got long claws, and also I've seen all three of them had erections, and I'm gonna show you some videos later about what a turtle erection looks like and what a penis looks like. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, what are they doing? That'll be a fun video. Okay, and I've got a sailfin pleco here. It's one of those cheap plecos, but he has this beautiful pattern, and he's been with me for like, I want to say 4 years now. He's been growing out, and sometimes you can see him sucking on a turtle's shells. Yeah, and I used to have like a bunch of green tiger barbs. I think I only have 2 left. Oh, and there's another pleco I have in there. That's a yellow bristlenose, blue-eye bristlenose. I used to have a ton of tiger barbs in here. I think they've died. Similar to guppies, I don't know about you guys, but I never had any luck with tiger barbs. They just keep dying on me. So I want to get some new small fish that can survive turtles. And also I've got some rainbow shiners in there from a previous tank. Didn't know what to do with them, but I've just thrown them in here and they look happy. Okay, so that is Tortugal. Similarly, I have overhead filtration. Got a basking light here, and you can see the basking platform in there. And this is where I use to feed them individually. Okay, now I'm gonna show you 2 more embarrassing tanks. Like, what the shit is this? So this used to be a wild beta tank. That's why the water is kind of low, because I let it evaporate to this level. Looks like it's just full of algae, but if I like just, ooh, okay, that's stuck. But there are a couple of Venezuelan cories in there. I'm sure you can't see them. A couple of Venezuelan cories in there. They're doing very well. There's like a mini ecosystem in there that's really keeping the water clear. It's actually quite clear water in there, and it's got tons of like maybe growth that the cories are feeding off, but I do feed them as well. I think there is a some plants in there, don't know what they're called, and it's actually doing pretty well. It just looks disgusting. So the plan is I'm gonna clean this tank out, and of course I've got these extra tanks here that I'm gonna use for some experimental Wallstedt aquariums. So speaking of Wallstedt, this one, I would say this is kind of successful. But again, you know, I've just half tanked this. The substrate, I've actually put in some fine sand in there, but there are actually bags of garden soil in there that is just feeding the plants. Again, it looks disgusting. One of the tanks that I need to fix. Okay, so fish room out in my balcony. I do enjoy my balcony a lot. Every time I look out at my balcony when I'm on my couch, I get to see my fish. But I'll also show you one that is overdue for maintenance. And again, like, I have to admit, I am a lazy fish keeper. And I just like to let things grow as long as the fish are happy. The tanks look disgusting because of the algae. But you know, algae is actually really good for your tanks. So one more tank is this one. So this is one of the first large tanks that I bought for this place. I've got some Satanoperca jurupari in there. I've got some giant emerald cories. I've got some plecos in there. And I've got this huge black-tailed characin. Again, I bought it at 2 inches and it's just grown into this monster now. So yeah, this is a tank that I've just let the plants grow wild. There's like, show you, there's like a ton of duckweed in there. And you might think, oh, it looks like it's a bit disgusting, but I mean, the plants are doing a fantastic job keeping the aquarium healthy. It's sucking up all the nutrients, so all the fish are okay. I have to say again though that a couple of months, the same disease that hit my tanks outside came in here. Probably, I think I moved some of the fish in here, and then they just gave my jurupari a disease. One of them got knocked out 2 weeks ago. Some of them are showing some fin issues and scales dropping. So I think I need to do something. I've tried treatments and stuff like that, but they don't seem to be working. So I'll just give it a bit more time and see what happens to those. But yeah, so those are all my tanks that you see there. And it's a hobby that I enjoy. And the reason why I'm starting this YouTube channel is I kind of want to go into the fish keeping business maybe when I retire. I'm thinking about that already now, but it's something I enjoy. It's a hobby that I want to keep alive for people and introduce more of it to people and to the people I know. One of my nephews is now also a fish uncle. He has multiple tank syndrome, just like his uncle. And, you know, I kind of want to help more people get into this hobby because there's so many benefits you can get from the fish when you keep them. Of course, when they die, they stress you out. But otherwise, like when you come home from work or from school or whatever, and you look at your fish, it's really something that soothes you down. It keeps you busy, and you know, you're kind of trying to make nice homes for living creatures. Yeah, so there's a tour. I think I'm gonna have to do a night tour of this because of the backlight. You see, it's crazy, so you can't see any of my fish out there. I'm gonna try to do that in the next couple of days, but also I'm gonna again try to do some cleaning of the tanks, make them look a bit more aesthetically pleasing if I can, and also do some more experiments on the Wallstead aquarium method so that I can create ecosystems that are self-sustaining. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Gonna have to work on my introduction again, but you know, I'm just starting on this YouTube channel and just experimenting, not thinking too much about it. Okay, until next time, see ya, hunkeros.